the weekend debrief. For those of you that were following my link on the that I've been posting up, unfortunately for some strange reason that was not working, so I've had to create a new stream. So apologies to all that went over to that link. Hopefully you find this one. So this little weekend debrief is hopefully a bit of a regular fixture, just to talk through the experiences of the weekend. And obviously the weekend just gone was the 12th Scale National that was held at Eastbourne. It was a good weekend. Nice to catch up with lots of old friends and people that I hadn't seen for a while. We'll come on to that in a little bit, but much anticipation for me. Eastbourne has always been a bit of a crapper ever since I started racing. Andrew Thompson says, what am I wearing? I am wearing the new merchandise. There is no merchandise. I just got myself a couple of t-shirts and stuck a logo on it, and it's on the back as well. Let me just show you the back. Hey, like that. What do you think, Tomo? What do you think? Let me know what you think, chaps. Do you like it? And if you want one, I can get one. Even have your name as well and all that. I might get YouTube put on it and all that sort of thing. So anyway, back to, thank you for that, Andrew, for the shameless plug. Oh, and this is the top as well. Let's give you the show of the top. So that's the back of the top. Yes, you're absolutely right. What a tart. And that's the front of the... But it's a tight fit. It's a tight fit. It's not your baggy stuff. Sorry about the shorts. But it's a bit of a tight fit. I've lost a couple of stone in lockdown, so I thought, why not show it off? Anyway, thank you, Andrew. So back to the racing. I'm not sponsored by... Well, I am not sponsored by racing. Actually, when I say I'm not sponsored by X-Ray, I get a bit of a deal from RC Disco, and I push and run the X-Ray X12 team in the UK. There's not many of us, but hopefully that's growing. Taking on a couple of new drivers this week, which I'll talk about a bit later. But for me, I don't go around wearing X-Ray kit because I have to. I wear it because I want to, but equally I want to push the channel and all that kind of stuff. So hence the kit. So let's talk about Eastbourne. So Eastbourne, as I was just saying, is a track that is not a favourite of mine. It always behaves strangely, and even if you go there on a club day, whenever I've gone on there on a club day and get the car going well, and then you turn up at National and it's completely different. So as I said on a couple of the podcasts, I am done with 12 scale at club meetings. Grip's never high enough in the UK, and I'm done with that. So big 12 scale meets are for me, Nationals and the shootouts. The shootouts are at Chesterfield through the summertime. Check them out on Car's website. They do run a fantastic series through the summertime if you want to keep running your 12 scale. So check that out on their website. I'll put a link on the bottom of this feed where you can check out Chesterfield. So anyway, the usual Spashit track. I mean, I think it was actually bar a minor tweak here and there, it was nuts and bolts the same track that was run at the GP. The usual swoop and turn back in front of the driver's rostrum and a couple of chicanes. It's just the usual. But I went there after Chesterfield with hope, and on the back of what I talked about at the last weekend debrief of talking about the oils. If you haven't checked that out, check out the previous weekend debrief on a slightly different tack with the setup. Hang on, I'm just so Mark Styles, how do we fix that? Enable, hang on, I'm gonna have to pull up my phone to see that, Mark. what your question was. Excuse me for being such an amateur and having to reach out for my phone to see it. I was originally going to do this on my phone and then catch the questions on the iPad. But so how do we fix that? Enable club racing to be representative of a national. How do we fix that? Well, you would know that more than me, but I think running oily additive, see if we can get the grip up, run and promote the 12 scale more. I mean, that would be a great start, wouldn't it? Promoting it more. I mean, it's just absolutely apathetic at best, to be honest, promotion of 12 scale. But anyway, I don't want to get onto that. So usual 12 scale track at Eastbourne. And for me, Saturday was a really good day. As I say, on the back of running at Chesterfield, where I TQ'd. Not sure if I mentioned that or not. So I had a good weekend there, and I went to Eastbourne with much hope. And the car on Saturday was really good. I stuck it down with the same setup on at Chesterfield. Made a few adjustments during the day, but the biggest change I made was running a different shell. I've got my car sitting just in front of me here, and I thought I'd talk you through it. But I ran the BMR shell, which is allegedly a higher downforce shell. And reading the write-ups, I'd never run it before. It was all about higher downforce, and a lot of people couldn't really give me a definitive answer on what it gave people. So I went out with my AMR in practice, and then I went out with my AMR, Protoform AMR, in the first round. And then in round two, and the car was getting slightly difficult to drive in round one. But then in round two, I stuck the BMR on, and evening Hervé, and it was unbelievably different. For those of you that don't appreciate how big a difference these body shells make, just take along 2, 3, 4 different shells if you can afford it, and stick them on your car, and just have a play around, because the characteristics of the shells make, goodness me. I'd never really, I went and ran a Schumacher E4 before, and I'd sort of played around with the M20 or now superseded by the M21, and played around with that and the AMR, and that's really only the couple of shells that I messed around with. So I'd not really just fiddled around with shells that much, but I just fancied the BMR. I'd seen it, and I brought it along, and goodness me, the car was just completely different. It was way more settled. It felt like it gave me way more rotation. The car felt super easy to drive, from being what was quite a handful with the AMR. So from BMR to AMR, it was a totally different car on the same setup. And at that point, I decided to go with my gut instinct and thought, you know what, I'm just going to run the BMR all day because of how good it felt, and see if I could build the car around the shell a little bit more. Again, same setup. And didn't really change much all day, to be honest. A little bit of droop, a little bit of rear track width, a little bit of caster. Played with that, but fundamentally on the Saturday, I didn't really do too much other than just keep sticking it down. I was still doing the same thing with putting a new motor in every run, which backfired on the Sunday, which I'll come on to. And the car was really good. I was very fortunate enough to stick it in the ninth in the A final, which was my first ever national A final, and lots of lovely people sent me messages. Mark Jewett in particular, top man, Mark Jewett. He's a lovely, encouraging guy, and it was really appreciated. For me, however, just making it, and I hope this doesn't sound arrogant, just making an A final is not. It's great, but just making an A final is not good enough for me. I don't want to be ninth on the A final. I don't want to be fifth. I want to be, right at the very top. So it was great making an A final. I was really pleased with it, but it's like, yeah, great, but I want more than that. So I suppose it's the first step into getting into the A final. And the car by round 4 was starting to feel ever so slightly too safe to drive, and it felt like it had plateaued a little bit. So for the final, I made some changes. Some people would say, "What on earth are you doing making changes in the A final?" But in your first A final as well. But again, I'm not there just to go around and do okay. I want to keep moving forward. So put harder side spring on, and I what else did I do? I put slightly heavier weight oil in my shock, so it just slowed down the transfer a little bit to the front of the car, and the car felt much better. It felt a little hard to drive at the start, and if you've seen the video, which if you click up there right now, that's on the replay. It won't be there now, but if you click on the video, you can see the A final that I put up with my head cam, and the car was a little bit hard to drive. It's hard to drive at the start, but then it was then about pushing on, and at the start it was difficult, but as the run went on, the car was better. People like Mark Stiles come up and lap me, and Dave and Ollie and Matt Vara come up, and of course when you've sort of not thrown it away a little bit at the start, when those guys come around and lap you, it then gives you an opportunity to then, now the car's feeling better, I'm now going to kick on and see if I can stay with them. And I did for many laps with Stiles and Vara and all those guys, and I was able to stay with them. They didn't run away. So again, just tells me my ability in my own mind, no one else's. I don't care what other people think. In my own mind, my driving is good enough to be at the sharp end of the A final. So it's about, again, making sure that I know what I need to do with the car and develop it and that kind of stuff, which is why I made changes for the A final. And I wanted to do that to get better. That said, obviously, a bit disappointing to not do it as well. Qualified 9th, finished 9th in the A final, blah, blah, blah. So a great day, but it's kind of where I thought I was going to be going into the weekend. And so on the Sunday, I kicked on and decided to, on the Sunday, stupidly perhaps, but I thought, you know what, I'm now going to put the BMR to the side, and I'm now going to try and build the car around the AMR. And I found it really difficult to make the car be the same with the AMR as I could the BMR. I tried a fair amount of things, tweak the caster, tweak the camber, battery position, what else did I do? Slightly different tyre size, rollout altered, lots of things. But anyhow, they're all nuts and bolts in the same area. I couldn't get the car to behave in the same way, and I was a bit flat. I felt really tired. I get super excited on the weekends of these trips, and I just can't sleep, man. I wake up at like 5 o'clock in the morning. And that's like late. I mean, I can be up at 4. I mean, I've gone to bed at like 11, 12 and up again at like 4. It's like ridiculous. So Sunday I was a bit flat, but I was still trying nevertheless, and I couldn't quite get the car in the right place. I'll just take a couple of questions that have come in. Mark Stiles, it's all about setting achievable targets. It used to be make the A, now it can be make the A and finish top 8. Yeah, well, yeah, that's how you do it. But I've never ever made any other sites other than make the A in every event I've ever gone into. So I disagree with that, Mark, to a degree. I'm a professional sportsman by trade, and I know how to go about my business and how I need to deliver what I need to deliver. So, but each to their own. Andrew Thompson, out of curiosity, were most running the AMR or new Black Art, or was it a complete mix of shells? A lot of the Zen guys were running the Black Art on the Saturday, the new Black Art, from what the feedback that I was getting. Within the I'm not going to name drivers, but they were within the Zen camp. They found that the Black Art on the Saturday was too edgy. Didn't believe the grip was high enough to run that. And then I don't know where they were going from there. I think AMR is quite a popular shell. Schumacher guys were using the M21s, so there was a real mix. I was the only one running a BMR. Let me just take a swig of my water. I was the only one running a BMR from what I can remember. On the Saturday, I can't remember which side it was, but I punched a hole. Actually, punched a hole in the shell. It kind of did that on the Saturday on one of the runs. In fact, I think it was on one of the runs anyway. Which someone said I'd never seen that happen before on a BMR shell. But so on the Sunday, didn't do quite as well. I was sort of mid-pack B final, which was okay. But I then put the BMR back on for the final on Sunday, and the car went back to absolutely how it had been on the Saturday, but I'd made a few changes that probably didn't necessarily do as well as it should have done with the setup I had on Saturday. In hindsight, going back, I should have stuck the car down on Sunday the way it was on the Saturday in the final, because I think if I'd have gone 2 more rounds, maybe practice and first round, I think with how hard the car was to drive at the start of the final on the Saturday, I think by the 1 or 2 rounds on the Sunday, I think the car would have been really good, and I probably could have gone a few steps further, but I'm not going to know that. And it is what it is. Made these decisions, and I was happy with what I did and pushed myself forwards, and confident in the fact that the car is absolutely world class, and I'm so happy that I have stuck with the X-Ray X12 22 car. I'm super happy that I've got a good friend, G, that sits next to me, and we just chew the cud about it. G, I need to mention, Geraint Williams has made so much headway with the car, driving it. He was 6th in the F2 A final on the Saturday, and then qualified 4th in the F2 A final on Sunday. So he was right on point with his car, going super well, and lots of people saw it. And on the back of that, there's a couple of guys that have kind of shifted over to the X-Ray from Automatics and from a Yokomo. So 2 new guys going to run the car, Mark Rogers and Ant Lockyer. They're going to run the car, which is great. And welcome along, Jimmy Quickfingers. So that's really good. So it was a really positive weekend performance wise for me, and just want to keep on building. It's Tamworth next. The Tamworth is full, so that's kind of the roundup of what I did and how I went about my business. I think there are other points to talk about on the whole of the weekend. I think the first thing that before the weekend started, and I think I might have mentioned it in one of the videos about the F-gradings. F-gradings, for those of you who don't know, what we do in the UK, and I don't know if they do it in other countries as well, but they have an F-grading. So if you're an F1 driver, that would put you in the top 20 of the 12 scale championship, let's say. If you're then 20 and below, it used to be 20 to maybe 40 or 50, you would be an F2 driver, and then below that you used to be F3 driver. And they brought this in 2 seasons ago, and what it meant was that when you turned up at the national, if you finished, let's say, 21st, you would be pole position on the A final of the F2 grade. But what's happened is that the first things first is that we're now only 50 drivers deep, 55, and that's because GT12 has now come in. So GT12's come in and have now taken up 30 spots. Great, superb, great to see. It was great to see GT12 going around at the 12 scale national. It was brilliant. We were 55 for 12 scale, and then another 30 for the 12 scale for the GT12. So 85 people. But by only being 55 people, all of a sudden, you don't really have an opportunity to have a decent depth of F1 drivers and a decent depth of F2 drivers and F3. So they did away with F3. They rounded it all up into F2. So we had 20 drivers of F1, and then we had 35 drivers of F2. And what happened was we had some guys that were like Finlay Williams, Sam Colt, two of the biggest protagonists that were youngsters that have become so quick, and the seedings on day one on Saturday got put out there by a bit of guesstimation. I don't really know where they came from, because I was originally the season before F1 and I got told that I was actually an F2 driver. But that's by the by. I was very fortunate I got pushed up into into F1. Now the problem was that we had 20 drivers already, and of course if you have 21 drivers, that means you can't have an F1 driver in the C final on the Saturday and Sunday. You need all of the F1 drivers in a final. So what you've got is you've got 20 drivers at F1, and what you can't have is 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. You have to have either 20 or 30 so that you can make up a full final. Now, the problem is that if someone, let's say like a G, bless him, superb driver, but if he went into F1, he might feel that because it's graded, he might feel that he's just going to be at the bottom of the B final in F1. But if we did away with the gradings and we just threw it all out there would be no issue with F1 or F2. And everybody at the start of the week, at the start of the weekend, knows the fact that if they have a great weekend, they could throw it in the B final or the A final of a national. And why would they not want that hope and dream? So that everyone's been capped. But not only that, is that even the F1 drivers, like for me, on the Sunday, it was like, I'm not doing very well. It doesn't matter. I'm still going to be in the B final of the F1. I could be last, but I'm still going to be in the B final, and I could do all right. Whereas without the F gradings, I could arguably be in the C, D, or E final. So I think that really needs to go, and I feel so strongly about that, because the cell and what I was hearing from the committee or whoever they are, there was a group of guys. I was reffing my race I was reffing on the Saturday. I was heat 8 and I was reffing heat 9. And I even heard Spashit and Co. behind me selling the point that would you rather finish 28th or finish 8th in the A final of the F2? Well, personally, I'd much rather finish 28th. And I think most people, because if they finished 28th, they knew they had a chance of finishing 16th. But when they know they can only ever finish, best is 21st, when they turn up, it's like, what's the point? If I was F2, I would give up. I would not run 12 scale until they change that rule. I feel really that strongly about it because it is immediately capping. So Finley Williams was given the option to be either an F1 or an F2. He was pushed to be an F2 driver. The guy should have been in the A final on Saturday, and he's an F2 driver. He was a lap up on the field. So everyone that runs in F2 now, they're not going to beat Finn. He's going to be a lap up. So for the whole of the national season, all Finn is doing is just going around in circles. But they can't put him up because we've already got 20 drivers in the F1. They're going to have to pull someone down. Now, who are you going to pull down? Because nobody wants to be pulled down into an F2 when they're in F1. So what they should have done is that they didn't have the F-gradings were obsolete because 2 years worth of racing. They should have gone management decision, and this is the trouble with this whole voting bollocks, is we're doing away with the F-gradings this year, lads. We're just going to go all out and see what happens. And then have a think about it. How do you all feel about it at the end of the year? Because I'm pretty sure with how close it is through the band, there are so many people that can do super well that could be in a B final on a Saturday or a Sunday that they would all go for that. But no, it's been capped. And part of me feels like that someone that's a C finalist that could have, I was a C finalist in a GT12 that I stuck it in the A final in one event at MB Models, that could have a blinder and do the same. But it feels like, no, we don't want him in that A final. Oh, no, we've got guys hunting it out for the national A final. Can't have that. We need to keep them back there, just in case they come in and start fucking up our race. So the F gradings are an absolute debacle. So that's my soapbox moment for that. The second thing was tech inspection. I got some new batteries, and so I charged them up. And previously, I set my charger for 4.22 to make sure that when they charge up, they go up to 4.20. So that when I go up to tech inspection, they are at 4.20. Stupidly, my mistake, I left it at 4.22. So I went up and I saw it on my iCharger. It had 4.21 on it. So I went up, and sure enough, it showed up as 4.21. Now the kid that was behind the counter, and they did a great job all weekend, and was truly thankful for all of their efforts, as the whole team at Eastbourne and the national. He said, "You do it again, you're going to be sent back to your pits. You do it again, I'm asking you to leave." Spoke to me like that. And then he spoke to me like that on the next one. Oh, fucking hell. It didn't go down too well. And again, going back to this whole rules nonsense. I mean, it like, I'm not trying to cheat, man. I didn't want to overcharge my battery. It's just an oversight on my part. And of course, it's an oversight on my part. Now, all of a sudden, I'm threatened with, you're not going to be able to go out into your heat. And so now every time I'm going up on Saturday, I have to go up, even though I know that it's all going to be okay. I have to go up, take the voltmeter off him, walk away with the voltmeter, do my batteries, then give him back the voltmeter, and then let him put my car through. What a ridiculous rule. What a ridiculous set of circumstances. But it was just the way it was delivered. And I think if if we're looking to encourage people to this hobby and make it all-encompassing, that makes people feel good about themselves and enjoy their hobby and spend more money and keep racing, we got to get rid of this rule making. And sorry, this is a soapbox moment. I'm just venting it because this shit needs to be spoken about, because it's the only way we can blossom as a scale. Pete Winton stands up. Love Pete. Shouted out the podcast. Did an awesome thing, but had a bit of a cold. Bear in mind, we haven't seen or heard from him for 2 years. Shouts out, shut up you lot, stop talking, my voice won't stretch, I need to talk and be heard. That was his opening gambit. It's like, oh no, Peter, no, that's not what people need to hear on coming back from not racing for 2 years. This is not good enough. This is not good enough. We need to be embracing people. If you've got a bad voice, Pete, just go and get yourself a microphone, pal, and use the microphone and put us in the racing room and do it there. But don't open up with, shut up you lot, I can't talk, stop your noise, and this overbearing, patronising talking down to. I'm sorry, it just won't do. So that's that. I apologise. This is just my passion to make this sport bigger and better, because that's what it needs, because it is. Every person I show this class to, they love it. So that was that. Reffing. So I'm reffing on Sunday, and I'm reffing a GT12 heat. So I'm in heat 9. I've got a Marshall heat 10. I then go back to my pits, heat 1. And then I've got to go back and do a ref in heat 2 of GT12. So in GT12, I'm reffing it and a little bit of commentary. I get Matt Hunter. I'm naming you, Matt, because it was ridiculous. He comes up, he said, oh, don't commentate. People don't like that. Just call people through. But as far as I'm concerned, this isn't about an event. This is about getting the juices flowing, getting excited about someone commentating on the race that makes it feel like an occasion. And if they don't like it, they're going to have to cope with it, because when it comes to a final time, they're going to have to deal with the commentator. And so, got this numpty telling me that I can't... perfect. Mr. One Entertainments, that was my GT12 hit, and I liked it. Fantastic. Because it's about having a good time. If you've ever stood next to Geraint Williams on the rostrum, and you've been in a qualifying heat with him, you would have felt the rostrum shake, because of the adrenaline. And we've all talked about it. You know, when I'm racing, my grip pressure will just go lighter and lighter, to the point I almost feel like sometimes I'm going to drop the controller. But it's what we all race for, the absolute adrenaline. And if you can't cope with that, what you're going to be like when you get better and get into a bigger final. So if you've got a problem with my commentating when I'm reffing, hard luck. If you want to tell me, feel free to. But I don't care, because this is about occasion. We are trying to make it entertainment, trying to make it engaging, trying to make it exciting. Because for me, I think that's the captivating part of the hobby. So let's take a few questions if we've had any through. So Simon Mayo, your ref was on point. Thanks, Simon. Matt's dad or granddad was in the A finals ref and ref the whole race. Fantastic. Stump Jumper 1977, loving it, Stu, passionate throughout. Thank you, sir. Matt, let's just go to MB Models and do a podcast. podcast days. Yeah, well, I am going to, and I was thinking about this on the way home from Eastbourne. Let me just see. Simon asking him to let him through. It was Grandad reffing, letting him ask him. Okay, I don't quite understand what you mean, but I think you're Simon. You're saying that his reffing was asking people to drive through, which is great. Nathan Wilson was in the heat that I was commentating on. Commentary was fine, fantastic. I wasn't going to town. I mean, it was just a little bit of chat here and there. It was anyway. But thank you, Nathan. I really appreciate that. My thought was we're going to have the Nationals in January, February, and March, and then because of the addict that I am, I'm definitely going to the 12th Euros, and I would absolutely encourage you to get yourself there. It's at the Hoodie Arena. The accommodation is cheap as chips. The flight is going to be buttons. The BRCA, if there's enough of us, will put on a bus to get us backwards and forwards. And it is a great 3 or 4 days of racing around just the mecca of RC in Europe. But I thought that maybe it would be nice to put on a single podcast race event on the back of it, maybe in May, end of April, for those that wouldn't necessarily do the Euros, but have a last hurrah before the summer season comes around of 12 scale. So I'm going to potentially look at doing that, which would be fun. And it would be hosted, if Mr. Ball will have us back at his venue, because I think that would be a fantastic way to support his track and race there. Setup, we've done a bit of an overview of the 12 scale national. We've also done reffing. We've done what else did I talk about? Done Pete Winnan. I love Pete. Pete's awesome. I love Pete. Had great chats with him, but sometimes, anyway, don't need to go on about that. And that's about it. I think if you've got questions, fire them in. Jimmy Quickfingers, for those of you that don't know him, is Tony Wade. Get to the Euros, always commentary. Commentary's great at the Euros, and obviously I'm going to be going there. And so on the live stream stuff, chaps, all of these venues have crappy Wi-Fi, and so I'm doing it through my phone. Now, faux pas on my point was that I had my iPad on low data mode, which meant that at the start of the stream, it was all okay. And then as it went on, the low data mode kicked in and it didn't stream it at the rate that it should have streamed it at in the clarity that it's giving us now. So that will change. I've bought a special iPad for it as well. So it's hopefully going to be all good going forwards. In terms of the interviews and stuff like that, that is, I forget how sort of busy you are even at a national, man. I mean, you run your race and then you have to ref, of course, or marshal. Then you might get to do a bit more reffing or marshalling, and then you've got to do your car and have a chat and hurl abuse at people that are sitting with you and all that kind of stuff. So getting interviews and that sort of stuff is easy to do at the start of the day, but during the day it's just so full on. So I apologise that I sort of promised a bit more interaction and live stuff, but didn't necessarily deliver it as well as I would like to. But hopefully I'm going to get better at that, and I'm going to keep driving it forwards. Big shout out to Ant Lockyer. I didn't realise, but when we were sitting in our pit space, I was sitting opposite Ant Lockyer and Tony Wade, and I had G next to me, and it was like we had the on-road podcast guys in a group, which was really cool. I didn't really sort of twig that stupidly. Chris Blackburn was at the end. He was asking for setup help and all that sort of stuff, and completely ignoring it all weekend, until at the end of the weekend I then sort of said I got him in a headlock and sort of, knuckles on his forehead, and said, "If you don't put this freaking setup on, you're out of here." He put it on, loved it, and hopefully he's going to hit the ground running next time at Chesterfield. Sorry, at Tamworth. Mark Rogers was over with his A12. He was doing well. Him and Nigel Bowen, who was running A12, and G, the three of them, they were absolutely going ding dong all weekend, and it was so good to walk away from a national with so much positivity. Good setup, good racing. It was close. They loved it. And it had nothing to do with the fact that they were in an F2A final. It was the fact that there was clothes racing in their final. Don't matter where they finished. It was about that. And so that F grading is absolute nonsense. I couldn't feel more passionate about that. And another shout out to Ant Lockyer as well, because he was running the Yokomo on Saturday. I've got a spare 12 scale car, X12. And I said, Ant, use it. And he did super well with it. We put a setup on it, and he just basically kept putting it down, and it kept on going round, and his driving just went from strength to strength all weekend. And so that was really good to see. And he subsequently bought my second 12 scale car, which means I'm going to go and buy myself another new car. X-Ray X12 22, another one to match up with my this one here. And that means I can have my spare car, and when I go to the Euros, I'll be backed up with two cars. So that was really good. So as I say, Mark Rogers and Ant Lockyer are on the X-Ray team. Anyone else that wants to come and drive an X-Ray X12 22, shameless plug here, but anyone that wants to do that, they are absolutely welcome. Message me on Facebook, and you are more than welcome to come part of our chat group and have some support. Again, I don't know it all. I'm definitely not saying I know it all, but I'm doing all right, moving in the right direction at least. So that was great. Other notables, I think the Allsomatics guys, James Stewart, Mark Payne, Nigel Hale, who's got terrible flatulence, by the way, shocking flatulence. They all did really, really well with their Allsomatics A12s. They really seemed to find a setup. They were having to play around with the new Zoo Dragster body shell at the start of the weekend. James Stewart was running that, and then I think he flipped over to the AMR. Excuse me, I am getting a bit dry. So they've made great headways with that. What else to report? Jody Sherratt, Barry Lynch, went out for dinner with them, had a massive eat-a-thon on Saturday night with Barry Lynch, eating curry. That boy loves a poppadom. You cannot get him away from the poppadoms. And we just caught up and had a gin and tonic Friday night, gin and tonic Saturday night. Mark Jewett, Stan French, all of those guys. It was really, really nice to just chew the cud and take the team out of it and just be a bunch of guys having a cup of tea. Ben Elliott was there, Lee Moss was there, and just sort of chewing the cud of 12th scale and being nothing more than just guys racing their cars against each other and trying to do the best they can. It was great. It's the way it should be. It's none of this inter-team wranglings and all that kind of stuff. So I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed the social side of it. Would have liked to have got more sleep because of the excitement, but I really enjoyed that side of it. So coming up, what we've got coming up over the next few weeks, going to be a bit buggy going on for me. Putting the 12 scale down, I always find that I drive much better on the back of buggies. So I'm going to be doing maybe a bit of 1066 Sunday night. Don't tell the wife, she doesn't know yet. So a bit of 1066, no. So 1066 on Sunday night, potentially might to get a bit of live streaming going on with that. And then we've got obviously Tamworth in 3 weeks' time. So 2 days of that, and then on the back of that, the Chesterfield. So if you haven't got booked in for your 12 scale national, you need to. Tamworth is full. There's a waiting list, but get yourself down on the waiting list, because fingers crossed they might open up a few more spots. I think they're hesitant to put 8 cars in qualifying, but Christ, just put 10 cars in. It don't matter. Just get us out there. We're super friendly guys, and I think that is the beauty with 12 scale, is that, you know, guys are so well mannered on qualifying, and people pull over and let you through and all that kind of stuff. It's really great racing, great qualifying. Very rarely do you ever get anyone that holds you up. So we've got Tamworth coming up, Chesterfield coming up, and then we'll have the Euros coming up, and then maybe an on-road podcast event. Let's see. And then it'll be summertime, and obviously the buggies. But I've got some exciting videos coming up very soon. You'll notice that I am doing way more posting going on, so I'm committing to 3 videos a week. So while you're here, there are 26 of you watching right now, and I've only got 2 likes. Do me a favor, if you could, just click the bell, because when you click the bell, it means that people like the video, and it then clicks the algorithm, and it really helps spread the video, spread the channel. And I've got to tell you, there's loads of likes coming in. Honestly, guys, it's so much appreciated. It really is. I've got to tell you about the revenue. This is really interesting stuff, right? Remember, there is no money going in my pockets here. This is all going into those of you that may or may not have known, the race to Celtic Manor. So I want to put on a Snowbirds of Europe, and that is my agenda. So at the moment, we are at, and bear in mind, I'm only 2 weeks in to having a subscribed channel, or a monetized channel, and I'm at £22. Now, that might not sound a lot, but fast forward 12 months with hopefully thousands of more subscribers, hopefully more monetization, that pot will grow. And if we can get it up to 3 or 4 grand, you know, I can put in a bit as well, and hopefully we can get a bit from elsewhere. And before we know it, we might have 8 or 10 grand in the pot that would make it a free race event. For all you racers, there'll be a way of qualifying. You'll have to support the 12 scale nationals. You'll have to support your local buggy club, because it's going to be 12 scale and buggies, and it's going to be over a full week of racing that will all be paid for. It will not cost you a penny, and that is the agenda behind it. For your racing accommodation, that's not going to be free, but the racing itself is going to be free. That is the big picture, and that's why I'm doing all of this stuff, just to grow this hobby as much as I possibly can. So don't hate me. My passion is about growing the hobby more than anything else, and if we can have some fun along the way, then so be it. That is about it. If you've got any questions, fire them in the box below. While you're here, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. There's about 50% of people that watch these videos that are subscribers. If you don't have a YouTube channel, just sign up to YouTube and just hit the subscribe button. Even if you never post, or if you never have a video, just subscribe, because it really helps the channel grow, and the algorithm just spreads the word on 12 scale. So subscribe, smash the bell, you'll never miss another video. And that's me for the evening. I hope you've enjoyed the video and some insights and thoughts of mine. Keep up the 12 scale, keep up the buggy and the RC love, and I will look forward to seeing you all trackside.